Welcome to the Southern Sartorius. Today we're going to be looking at two of the best shoemakers in the world, George Cleverley, Gaziano, and Girling. Let's take a look. All right, so let's take a look. So here we have our George Cleverleys. This is in their ready-to-wear collection. This is their Atom in this dark brown Scotch green. As you can tell, it's really got a beautiful texture, and it's honestly reminiscent of their Russian reindeer collection. Obviously, a lot lower price range than the Russian reindeer collection, because I believe you can only get it bespoke at this time, but it's still really a beautiful texture. It's their cat toe Adelaide with a medallion toe, and it's just really a beautiful shoe. And we're going to be looking at the Gaziano and Girling, which is their Garrett model, which is really their lazy man model. I don't believe you can get this particular model off the rack anymore from Gaziano, but I believe it's still available for bespoke and made to order. But they're both beautiful shoes, obviously both with a medallion toe. We're going to be looking at differences between the two. And honestly, is the Gaziano and Girling's worth the $1,200 price premium in comparison to the Cleverley's ready-to-wear collection? Now, mind you, when we're looking at the Cleverley ready-to-wear collection, after doing some research and doing a little bit of digging, George Cleverley actually does not make their ready-to-wear models in-house. So from my understanding, they actually outsource to Crockett & Jones, and I believe Crockett & Jones makes their Cleverley ready-to-wear collection in their hand grade, to their hand grade standard, with the beautiful closed channel stitching. Slightly bevel waist, as we'll see, is not as pronounced as the Gaziano and Girling fiddleback waist, of course, but the Gaziano and Girling is a much more expensive shoe. But beautiful heel stack. Obviously 270 degree welt, meaning that the welt on both of these shoes and most higher end shoes only stops about here at the heel block. You'll find that on a lot of higher end shoes. In comparison to Allen Edmonds, for example, it's 360 degree welt, goes all the way around, as you can tell. We're looking at quality difference between the three, actually, but for the purposes of this video, we're really going to be looking at the Cleverleys and the Cleverleys and the Gaziano and Girlings. So we're looking at these. First thing you notice is really the last definition between the two. Obviously, George Cleverley is known for their slightly square toe. That's what they're really known for. But Gaziano and Girling takes it to another level. Much more aggressive styling, and truly a square toe on the Gazianos. Really makes it beautiful to look at. Really beautiful shoes. Obviously present on both, which is a hallmark of higher end shoes, is the fudging that you see around the welt. And shoemakers will take a fudging wheel and go around the stitches on the sides of the shoes if the camera can pick it up. And it really is, it's more so for decorative purposes, but it really, looking at those small details, it really stands out. It's really beautiful. Same thing is present here on the George Cleverleys. You can see the beautiful fudging around the stitching on the welt. And one of the things that stands out to me the most when comparing these higher end shoes to, say, like Allen Edmonds, for example, which is obviously a significantly cheaper shoe, a lot less handwork, still made in the United States, which I believe is the first good shoe for those getting into quality Goodyear welded shoes. But one of the main differences I pick up in comparison to the higher end shoes, you see loose stitches like that. And mind you, this is in the factory seconds pair. This is first. And this has honestly been kind of commonplace in Allen Edmonds today. So you can see loose stitching there. Also, the main difference between the Allen Edmonds and the Gaziano and Girling's George Cleverleys, as you can see, the stitch density here is not as tight. Obviously, a lot wider stitches, as you can see, in comparison to like the Gaziano and Girling's, for example. You could tell a significant difference there. Obviously, just aesthetic. I mean, it doesn't take anything away from the functionality for the Allen Edmonds. And obviously, when we look at Allen Edmonds, we have the open channel stitching, as you can see it here. The stitching that goes into the welt on the outsole. In comparison to the Gaziano garnish, was truly a work of art. It's the beautiful fiddleback waist, beautiful tight waist here, as you can tell. Beautiful tight waist, closed channel stitching, of course, which is present with the Cleverleys as well. Just truly, beautiful shoes. And when you start to get into some of the higher end brands of shoemaking, you can really start to differentiate between, say, like Alden or Allen Edmonds or some of the other brands that we have. So, as you can tell here with the broguing, for example, on the Cleverleys, look how tight it is. Everything is perfectly even, perfectly in the middle. I've seen some shoes from Allen Edmonds, unfortunately, where the broguing is like all over the place. One will be up here, one will be down here. It'll be, it kind of zigzag, to be honest with you. And obviously, even with the Gaziano girls and the Cleverleys, the punching, the broguing and the medallions and whatnot, it's done by a machine. They have a machine that does it, but it's still impeccably done. As you can tell here on the Adelaide, really impeccably done. And another thing is this texture of the uppers really stands out. Great quality uppers. Even if it's not to Cleverley's bespoke standard. Obviously this isn't a bespoke Cleverley model, but it's the uppers and the construction is really amazing. We're gonna look at the Gaziano Girlings. One of the things that really stands out is this tight, really tight stitch density and the beautiful fudging around it. And one of the really unique things, obviously Cleverley has kind of really basically invented the Lazy Man model for Churchill, of course, in their Churchill, known as their Churchill model. But Gaziano Girling executes it truly beautiful here as well. It's really, really pretty shoe. We'll take a look at the heel stack, which is another hallmark. Looking at good quality shoes, looking at the tight heel and the construction of the heel. Obviously both of these shoes are 270-degree welts. So we're looking at here at the heel stack of the Cleverleys. Notice how it is tight and pronounced. Obviously it's very tight. It sits very high, right up on the upper in comparison to the Allen Edmonds, which you see have that space, of course, the 360-degree welt. But the Gaziano Girls just has that finesse and that beautiful taper of the heel. You could really tell. A little bit more work went to the Gazianos here, just comparing to the Cleverleys. And like I said, mind you, this is Cleverley's ready-to-wear collection, which from my understanding is made by Crockett & Jones to their hand grade standard, which is still great quality. Tight stitching along the back seam. So this Gaziano Girling model is not considered really a hole cut because we have this back seam here. Although many might mistake it for a hole cut, it's not a hole cut because it's not seamless. So we have this rear seam here, and take a look at the stitching. It's one of the things that you can look for if it's a truly good quality shoe. Tight stitching, and it's neat. For example, taking a look at Allen Edmonds, and I hate to keep beating up on the Allen Edmonds, man, but these loose stitches and kind of sloppy outsole stitching is, as you can tell there, it's not pretty. But it's still a great shoe. Obviously doesn't have the finesse as the Cleverleys and the Gaziano Girlings, but nevertheless, still a good starter shoe. But when we're looking here at the Cleverleys and the Gaziano Girlings, let's take a look here at the soles. Once again, beautiful fiddleback waist here on the George Cleverleys. But still beautiful, clean. Both of these are oak bark tan leather outsoles. Beautiful closed stitching, as you can tell here. I mean, it's really a work of art on both of these, but especially with the Gazianos. I mean, look at that. It's really a work of art, and it's one of those things, getting into shoes that you truly appreciate. And George Cleverley, of course, makes fiddleback waist shoes as well. This particular model, the Atom, it has a slightly bevel waist, but it's not to the, it's not a fiddleback. It's not as tight here. But they're both great shoes. The uppers, amazing quality. And to be honest, I'm actually going to give the advantage on the uppers here to the Cleverleys. It's something about this beautiful Scotch grain and the feel and the texture of it. It's really a beautiful shoe. It's really a standout. Looking at these uppers, they're amazing. Really, I enjoy looking at them and wearing them. And one of the things that I found in comparison to the Gazianos is, it's of course beautiful leather, amazing quality that they use here on their shoes. But, and maybe it's just unique to the Scotch grain of the Cleverleys, is that it hides creases a lot better. This kind of rough, hardy texture of the uppers, it really hides the creases quite significantly more than Gazianos. And also some of the other dress shoes that I have that are smooth calf. But in terms of finesse and just pure craftsmanship, both obviously are great quality shoes and built to amazing standards. But I have to give the nod here to the Gaziano girls. The finesse and the beautiful chisel toe, beautiful tight stitch density, which is around 10 stitches per inch, really on both. So both I measured have 10 stitches per inch here. So it's tight, very tight. Compared to the Allen Evans, man, it might be like really 4 or 5 stitches per inch. It's a lot wider. So you get a little bit more of that that extra sauce when you get the Cleverleys and then the Gaziano girls. It's really something to behold. But both great shoes, amazingly comfortable, and really this makes the Lazy Man design. I'm in love with the Lazy Man design because it just makes it so easy to take on and off, especially working from home, running in and out the house. It really makes it easy slipping on and off. Both great shoes. Got to give the nod really to the Gaziano girls, but both are excellent shoes. I'm a huge fan of George Cleverley. Obviously, if this was a bespoke model, or even on their Anthony Cleverley line or their Kingsman line, it might be a different story. But I believe the Cleverleys here, the Atom, the ready-to-wear collection, it's a great value for money. Great shoe. It's a beautiful sole. This is Gaziano's famous. They're known for this brass heel tacks in their sole. In their heel stacks in that particular pattern. George Cleverley and also Crockett and Jones, which is should be a telltale sign for most people, has a similar nail arrangement on their heels as well that they use. Thank you all for taking a look. If you have any questions, feel free to shoot me a comment, and I'll be sure to get back to them all. Thank you, guys.